Alright, hello everyone, and this is Verity Mystic Magic, and this is my little review of Heroforge 2.0. Okay, so a while back, Heroforge, so for those of you who don't know what Heroforge is, it is a custom miniature software that online that you can use to build your own 3D printed figures. And these figures can be used for anything from D&D to any board game that requires like any sort of figurine kind of you know for gameplay, right? And the coolest thing is that you can customize it to whatever you want, right? There are tons and tons of options. There are tons and tons of different races that you can use, hair options, clothing options, armor, you name it. They have a ton of options. A while back, they released a second Kickstarter that introduced color, right? So colored plastic, which is what I have here. So this is just going to be a small review of the whole process of coloring it, but also just what it was like. And my figure finally came in the mail. So I'm going to show you some footage of that figure just to see, so you can see what it looks like, and see like if you like the colors and kind of some pros and cons of using Hero Forge for a colored figurine. Alright, so this is the figure that I made. This is Morgan, and she's my Dragonborn Bard. She's Silver Dragonborn, Bard, College of Glamour. Right, so she's a very debonair sort of character, um, using fey magic, things like that. So more magic based, but she does have a rapier, so there's some combat involved, right? So basically, if you go into Hero Forge right now, you're not going to get the color options. You're only going to get the black and white. But because I backed the Kickstarter, I did get the colored version, colored options, right? So all of this stuff, so races, head, body, all that, these are all part of the base model. But the color option, this is what gets added if you decide to get Heroforge 2.0, right? So they do have preset colors, or you can customize your own. So for example, like human colors, like they have colors based on different races. So you can kind of get some base idea of it. You can theming is for like clothing, right? There's lots of different clothes themes here, right? I did a custom, trying to use the colors that I think would match her the most, right? And in paint, I messed around with this a lot. I probably spent about a good 2 hours just finalizing colors for her, right? So I finally got the colors I wanted. So it's very, very easy. It's all organized by material types. So let's say I want cloth. So I want like a red colored clothing for my character. I can use Hero for like any of these colors. You can see that the names are not like, it's not just blue, it's like Orion Iron or something like that. Right? So you can go ahead and click the areas and it'll have, and then the color will show up like that. Right. So this works more with fabric, but you can use it on like things like skin tone, although it doesn't quite have the same texture. But when you see the final product, it's not going to matter. And I'll show you later what Morgan looks like in the final product. But you can pretty much use any of these colors on any part of the body. Right. So let's see. There are warm colors, neutral colors, cools, brights, so on and so forth. I believe I used aubergine, yeah, for her original coat. Leather, so you have that leather shine to it. Like it has that kind of texture of leather when you see it on the colored edition. These are more important for if you have the option to get the Heroforge character tokens. So that's going to be another option they're going to release later. That one is more for like if you're going to be using something like Roll20 or Tabletop Simulator and you need tokens. This is a really cool way to make custom tokens. I believe Heroforge announced that yes, they were going to do they were going to give it out for everybody because of the shipping delays, the the lockdown never having and so on and so forth. Right. Paints, these are just neutral colors, right? So they're just flat, a little bit on the shiny side. Plastic, so if you want the plasticky kind of color, right? It's closer for like, it's good for the, if you want to put the plastic D20 next to it, you know, latex colors. So they have that weird latexy kind of look. Yeah, ooh, shiny gloves. Metal, so of course this is good for like metallic tones, weapons, things like that, right? It's really obvious when you use like something like ice in metal, so it's like really, really obvious. So if you want like a metallic dragon, that would look really cool. Bone, so you got kind of a bony kind of texture, that dry bone kind of look. It's good for horns. I think I used it on her horns, like teeth or something for her horns. Skin, so there's like lots of different skins, you know, for reptiles, things like that. So like green for reptiles. They're not really textured, so reptiles won't have like scales or something like that. Okay, so then hair, I like lots of different hair. And for her, I used like a blue tone because silver, I wanted her to have like more silver to kind of show off that silver dragonborn kind of look. Leaves, that kind of leafy color for any plants, things like that. She doesn't have any plants on her, but if your character needs some plants. Polish, so this is like rocks. Stone, volcanic. Volcanic looks really cool because of all the shading. Wood, so wood texture, she's standing on wood actually right now, so you can change it to different types of wood that you want. That's like a nice dark wood. That's kind of nice. Okay, flame, so this is for magic. These are like the most saturated colors. You can tell like healing glows. This is like for magic. Gems, so for any gemstone, they're really like cleary kind of colors. Like lavalith, you know, ignis stone. Like this is really good for like gems. Right, that little emerald of hers right there is, yeah, the emerald color. Glass, you know, for potions, things like that. You don't want to, I don't know if you want to use this for clothes, but you totally can. You know, maybe black eyes, I don't know. And of course eyes, you know, lots of different eyes. You know, lots of different options for eyes. So what I like about Heroforge is very easy to use. The program loads really quickly. I've heard people used it on mobile and it works really well. Although I like the mouse. Right, you can zoom in literally right up to this point of your character. Customize every little thing. Ooh. Okay, her eyes are getting all kind of weird because I have the eye options. Right. Really easy to use. Lots of clothing options. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about the clothes because there's just so many options for the clothes. I just really wanted to focus on the color. The color options are really, I think, really easy to use. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you can mix colors. So if you want like the bloody skull, but you want it like a little bit more orange or you want it more green, you can go for that. Oh, see, like her horns are now being weirdly colored. I'm not going to save this, but you know, so like everything can kind of, these are all the items that are on her right now. I can change it. So like, let's say I want that silver to be a little bit more teal. Where's that silver coming from? Let me choose the one that's a little bit more obvious. Let's say her eyes. Like, I don't want the slit look. I want like this look, like super dilated, you know, super crazy eyes. This kind of dragon eye. Maybe I want it darker, you know. So there's a lot of options you have. I personally liked it the way I had it. Okay, so there's a lot of options that you have. Oops, I'm deleting the colors. It doesn't matter, I'm not going to save it. But as you can see, there's a lot of options for the colors. So do I think it's worth it? I think it is if you really want custom stuff, right? And you want custom colors. You know, the token I think is a really cool option because you can make really rare tokens. For example, try to choose some of the rare races. Well, you can find some elemental. Like rat folk aren't very common. Minotaur might not be common. Turtle is definitely not. So turtle person, that's not very common at all. Raven, so Aroka or Kenku, they're not very common. Fawns, especially with the new, I forgot what the new release is, but Fawn is now going to be a race in D&D 5th. Foursquare Elephant Folk, so for anybody who's playing Loxodon, right? So some of these are really good for that because you're not going to find, like Rabbit, that's very rare. Half Giant. Centaur is really rare as an icon. A Naga is Serpent Folk. Right, so, and Giggle Dog, this is like for, not kobolds, but the other kind of dog-like race. So yeah, I like it just because of the options. Now, it is $44.99 currently, and right now I believe it's only available for anybody who backed the Kickstarter. So if you didn't do the Kickstarter, you're gonna have to wait until later for you to be able to do this option. Right. So now I'm gonna show you what she looks like when I got her. When I got her in the mail, they packaged it very, very nicely. It was in a small, nice box, you know, protected by bubble wrap and everything. Right. So shipping was awesome. Even despite all the delays, it did come in about 2 weeks, I think, which is not bad. That was a lot faster than some of the other shipments I've been waiting for. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how it came out. Okay, and I'll show you guys what it looks like right now. Alright, hello everyone. So I'm back with this time with my camera showing you off the figure. Right, so this is the figure that came, you know, after making this. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very small figure. So this is it next to a quarter, and the only thing I can think of, here's an amiibo. This is Crom. Yeah, and Crom kind of towers over poor Morgan here. You can actually just sit on top of him. But anyways, okay, let me move them out of the way. But this is how small they are. Right, the base is literally the size of this quarter. Okay, so obviously because it's so small, a lot of the details are not quite there. Right? And as you can see, like because of the 3D print, there's some flocking on it. That's the kind of weird shininess that you're kind of seeing here. Right. The texture overall is like that rough kind of 3D print. Let me see if I can show you. You can see kind of the texture a little bit on the base there. You can see kind of the lining here. And that's just part of the 3D printer. Now, Heroforge kind of markets this as like an alternative to hand paint, right? In case you can't find somebody to hand paint it for you, or you can't do it yourself, this is a good option. And I think it is a good option because this is a custom figure, and you get to customize the colors yourself, right? But does it beat hand painting? No, it's nowhere near the detail and quality a hand painted figure would ever have. Right. And actually, I'm thinking of dry brushing a little bit just to kind of show off a little bit of her face because, yeah, I can't even like focus on the face right now because it's so small. So those eye features, so any of those details you did with the eyes, you're not going to see it, right? Like her eyes, even though her eyes normally are like, they're supposed to be like an icy blue, you can't even tell. Other little details like any gold, like any metallic looking button. So like the rapier there is supposed to be kind of like a metallic, right? Because that's the option that I chose for when I was creating the character. It doesn't look metallic, right? It's just flat. Everything's kind of just the flat, same kind of matte 3D printed texture. Now, if you notice, there's some shading though. So if you look at her pants, there's some like slight shading. And if you look at the original concept, so here it is. I don't know if like, it's kind of hard to see, but there is shading there. Right. The other thing I kind of added is, and you can kind of see this on her feet the most actually, is that I added, even though the base of her skin is white, I added some blue shading. And that shows up really nicely on the feet here, and on her nose, and on her neck, right? In hindsight, I realized I probably shouldn't have made the neck that blue. I should have kept it white. And what's cool is that the tips of her horns are even like a slight blue too. This is a little hard for my camera to focus on, but it's a slight blue. Right. The other nice thing is that there's all of the details are there. So like her little drinking horn shows up really nicely. Oops. The you know, her scales. even the little band of her hair is shows up really nicely too. Okay. Now, I was reading on their site, and apparently these get like a special paint protected coating. This is what the bottom looks like. Oh, you can see the 3D printer kind of texture right there. It's like, this is more smooth, but the rest of it is really rough matte. Now, from what I heard, is that Heroforge has, from what their website says, there's a coating over this to protect the color. And I'm assuming it's to protect it from chipping, the color from chipping. Because these figures are meant to be just like moved around, put on boards, things like that. Right. So I probably don't recommend sanding this. I haven't sanded mine because I don't want to sand it and potentially ruin it. But I think dry brushing might be a good idea, just to kind of pull out some details here. Okay. But I don't know if I would sand it. And plus, this is very small. Like here's my finger next to it. That's very small. Like, to find a sander that works that way, it's probably not going to reach all the spots at all because her tail is so thin. Some of these details are so thin. The horns, very thin. Right. So I think if you're going to try to smooth it out, it would probably be better to have a chemical version. But I'm kind of worried it's going to ruin the color, or it might bleed. Like, some of these details are so small they might bleed into each other if you use a chemical type smoother. Okay. But do I think it's a good alternative to, hand paint? Yeah, if you can't do it yourself and you can't afford the paints. Because I know most people get the Citadel paints, and those, they're not like crazy expensive, but the initial investment is expensive. So it ends up being, I would say it costs about the same as if you were to order one from Heroforge themselves and paint it yourself. Right. Obviously, everything costs more. Heroforge does have the option for them to paint it for you, but it does cost a lot more than these guys. Right. These guys being 45, and then their hand paint, I think it's like 100 something. The other thing you can do is order just the 3D print it yourself and do it, right? Which is the cheapest option, but of course you're gonna have to sand it. You're gonna have to do all of that. Right? And I know they have other 3D print options too. Right? So is this really good for those of you who can't afford to paint it? Yeah, I think this is a really good option. The only thing you have to be okay with is the fact that this has that really rough matte texture. And to be perfectly honest, I think I will get the 3D print of her in black, in the dark, without the color, and actually have somebody paint it for me eventually, because she is my favorite character to play as. I don't have a lot of D&D characters, but she's one of my favorites. But I think eventually I would like to have a professional painted version of her. Maybe this will be like her level 1 version, and then I'll make a nicer level 20 version of her and have that hand painted. Right. So I hope you guys like this little brief review of Heroforge 2.0. I personally think it's really cool deal, really cool option. I love the fact that it's customizable. I mean, to get a female Silver Dragonborn Bard is not very easy to get, especially since I designed this myself. Right. Okay. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!